Welcome to the Commissioner's Report. I'm your host, Jeremy Moretti, and with me today we have Commissioner George Lindsey with us, here to talk about the American Rescue Plan and what it means for Polk County's residents, and to kind of lead us into that. Ever since the pandemic began and Congress began passing a number of different pieces of legislation, it's created different pots of money that can get somewhat confusing.
Yes.
So if you can you just give us a brief description on what these different pots of money have been, because there's been all kinds of terminology thrown out that can get confusing for folks.
Well, the first round of money we got a year ago was called the CARES program. I'm not sure what the acronym stands for, but that's what we call it, the CARES. There's a little over $126 million that was just deposited in the county's general fund to do good things with. And at that time, the commission took very positive action to get those dollars in the hands of people, folks that had had their hours cut from their employer because of the CARES pandemic, the COVID pandemic, or whether it was a small business that was struggling to stay open. We pushed money out to them. We also pushed money out through the United Way to help the agencies that United Way supports, because they couldn't have their fundraisers during the year, whether it was a golf tournament or whether it was a auction or some other fundraising event. So those agencies were adversely affected. So we pushed money in that direction. We also did money in some workforce training. So the idea was put the money in the hands of people to give them the relief during this time. Tagged onto that a little while later was some rental assistance. Folks simply couldn't make their rental payments. This put some landlords in a tough position with the moratorium on the evictions. So the idea was to give the landlords and the tenants some relief, and through a variety of programs from the feds, that produced a little over $35 million for rental assistance. And I will admit that the people trying to get access to that is somewhat cumbersome, so I would encourage you, don't give up. Go on the County Commission, Board of County Commissioners website for rental assistance programs and keep pushing away to get those. So we're trying to make it a little more simple.
And also, along with that, some of the regulations have changed as folks have realized, hey, maybe we had a little bit too much of a stringent documentation process. So come back to that and look that things have changed somewhat now.
Real life experiences have taught us that let's don't be overly critical or overly burdensome in the bureaucracy to get the money. The idea is to get it to the people who need it. So that's still a work in progress, and we still got quite a bit of money in that fund to get to landlords or tenants that need assistance. Also for their utility payments, there's money still available for that. But most recent money came from the American Rescue Plan, called the ARP. That's another $140 million that's coming down from the feds to assist local government, to assist the communities. Whereas the first programs were designed to get in the hands of people, the board has taken the position that the vast majority of this $140 million we're going to put in the form of projects, physical projects, road improvements, park improvements, intersection improvements, water and sewer upgrades, drainage. There's several major drainage projects throughout the county that need attention. This will be a huge shot in the arm. The county has had what's called a capital improvements plan, community improvement plan, for years. As a need is identified, it goes on the list. And then as funds were available, we'd go down the list and fund as far as the dollars would go. Prior to ARP, we couldn't bite off very many of those projects on the list in each calendar or fiscal year. But this infusion of capital, now we'll be able to fund a lot of major projects off of that list. And I think that you'll see them scattered evenly throughout the county. Identified these projects. I know there's one in the Imperial Lakes, there's one over on Lake Eva. There's scattered around the area that will show some major improvements. Our Polk Regional Water Cooperative, which we talked about in the past, with collaboration of our municipalities and the Water Management District for our long-term water supply. Some of this ARP money will be used to help tie Lakeland to Polk County and Polk County to Bartow, interconnected water lines, so we can pass new fresh water from one city to the next where the demand is. So this will be a big shot in the arm to help improve the Polk Regional Water Cooperative. I think there's about $20 million dedicated for that purpose. Now we've still earmarked about $10.5 million for lack of a better word, social programs. That may still have a infrastructure element. The homelessness is an issue we want to address. Assist minority and small businesses in that regard also. So we've asked the community, if you have a program that will help reach people in this regard, let us hear about it. You'll be reading more about it in the paper and also online about those social programs that agencies can make a request for a one-time capital contribution. The idea is not to create a program that has recurring revenue obligations after this initial payment.
Yeah, because this isn't a normal budgeting process that you guys would normally go through.
That's correct. So we don't want to create the expectation that whatever your funding needs are going to be continued in future years. This is a one-time infusion for capital assets. Perhaps your local agency needs upgraded computers or something of that magnitude. This will help in that regard. So I would encourage you to go on the website, check it out, and the application process there is pretty simple also.
Yep, and on the website we have everything laid out for the different types of requirements that you'll have to meet. The application as well can be found there and printed out, sent in with any other additional paperwork that they want to add in. So that's all there for their packet.
Yes. So when we get all the information in, all the requests after the cutoff date, then the board itself, the five of us, will sit around. We will have reviewed each of the requests, and then I would expect each of us to choose the one that they may have a certain passion for or expertise for, and we'll have a conversation with our colleagues and say, I'd really like to fund this program, and get consensus from the others. And the others will have programs that they may have a particular interest in. Broadband, expanding that opportunity is one of them. As I mentioned earlier, making provisions for homeless is also a major element.
Wonderful. Well, there'll be more on that to come, and a whole lot more discussion with the board to see what things come out of this, and love to have you back to talk a little bit as we get further into that process.
Look forward to it, coming back and give you a report on who got it and how much.
Sounds wonderful.
Thank
you so much for joining us. That does it for this edition of Commissioner's Report. Join us next time.